In this episode, we'll go over the LiveGroup node. This node helps to selectively version parts of your work. In terms of collaborating within teams, LiveGroups can be used to work with others on the same scene file simultaneously. On the Group node, right-click and select Convert to LiveGroup. A group icon with a lightning bolt will appear on the left, and we can still edit the contents when we open the group. You don't want each person to save out an entire Katana project individually. It can become complicated when everyone works simultaneously and you end up with a mix of versions when you try and reintegrate. Instead of doing this, you can save out a small portion of the project in a versioned LiveGroup. Right-click on the node, select Publish or Publish and finish editing contents. This option will save a LiveGroup file and lock the contents of the group. Create a LiveGroup folder in the same directory and set the path to that folder location. Once published, the contents of the group are now locked. This can act as a security to prevent yourself or others from accidentally modifying parts of the node graph. If you want to edit this group, you can, but you'll get a warning when you try and overwrite the file. I would highly encourage you to version those files so you can easily access previous versions in case a mistake has been made. By changing the path in the LiveGroup parameter, you can import any LiveGroup file you've written out. If you're working within a team in the same Katana project, all you need to do is update the LiveGroup versions and your entire project is updated. You can also use them to work across different projects that share the same LiveGroup. This is very powerful and can prevent setting up the same process multiple times. For example, we've set up render layers, and this part of the node graph is not actually pointing to any specific path. It's pointing to collections, so you could create consistent collections across all your projects to reuse the same setup. If you want to change the contents of the group, then you can do it once, in one location, and that change ripples down. Different sections of the node graph can be owned by different people or department. This ownership can be reflected in whoever edits the LiveGroup. Perhaps settings that influence the whole show, for example render settings, can only be done by leads. Or parts of the scene relevant to look development are only handled by your surfacing department. We've now covered the use of LiveGroups and look files and seen its use for iterating parts of your work and working within teams. The main difference between the two is that one is a baking process, whereas the other is a live process. So depending on the complexity of your project, you can decide which works for you. In the next episode, we'll use the backdrop nodes to quickly move around the node graph.